Hi everyone, a very warm welcome back to the MEC-TEC garage, and in this episode we are going to be working back on Project Plonker, the van. Now that has been a bit absent from the channel recently, I know, with all the other things that are going on, and I have been thinking about it a lot, and I have changed my mind on the way or the project is going to go as far as what order we're doing things in. So initially, or previously, I was going to leave van shell off the chassis to be able to just plonk the engine and gearbox on top and then lower it all down onto it. Now the van engine is taking a lot longer to sort out than I expected due to various parts that are worn that I didn't know about and whatever else. So I've changed my mind slightly, and I'm going to actually put the body back on the chassis, so that will give me a complete rolling chassis and shell. It'll be a lot easier to move around. It will obviously allow me to do other jobs on the van as well, as far as all the little jobs that I can do when it's back down on the ground and together as such. And whilst obviously the engine's being sorted out, I can do all that amongst all the other projects obviously. And when the engine's ready, then we can get it up in the air as a complete unit and work it in from underneath. Now it is a bit harder doing it that way, which is why I initially left it apart, but I'm pretty sure we can wrestle it in there. We're going to do it on Dan's van the same way. When we do his engine, it's going to go in from underneath, so there's no reason why it can't be done on mine as well. So that is the plan. Now as you can see, there is a mountain of stuff to move out the way before we can even get to thinking about moving the chassis and the shell. So we need to get the Ninja moved out the way, get all this pile of, I'm not going to say junk, but pile of stuff out the way. And then I will show you what the body is sitting on, because I made a custom trolley for that to wheel around on when I was moving it around doing all the filler work. So I'll show you all that when we get it clear, and hopefully it will be mated together for the final time and I'll have a rolling van again. Woo! So I'll come back to you in a minute. Right, well that looks a bit clearer, doesn't it? You don't realise until you start moving stuff how much you've got. Actually, that's not too bad really, for me anyway, that's not too bad. So as you can see, we've got the chassis here, which is all rolling and complete as far as, well, what's on it at the moment. It's got obviously all the suspension on it, brake pipes, rear axle, wheels, everything basically that needs to be on it for the shell to go back on, I'm hoping. Otherwise I'm going to be taking this all back off again. Now you can see under here, this is a bit sketchy. As you can see, that's bowing quite a lot in the middle now, where it's been on those bits of wood for quite a long time. I had to get the frame, the main frame you can see under the middle there, which is this section here, is on wheels. I've actually taken the two front wheels off to get it up in the air so I can jack it up, but to get it up high enough to get the chassis underneath so I could get another car in the garage, I had to make it even higher, hence it being on these precarious bits of wood and axle stands. So the next job is to get it off those axle stands, if that makes sense, and back on the wheels on the trolley, because then I can bring the whole thing forward. And as you can see up here on this girder, I've got two block and tackle winches which attach to these bars that are on the side of the van, and that is what lifts it up in the air. It's my effectively makeshift ramp, because I haven't got a ramp, and that lifts it up in the air to obviously allow me to have a free space underneath to roll the chassis under, to then drop it down onto once it's in position. So as I say, next job, let's get it off these precarious bits of wooden axle stands and back on the ground, or on the trolley on the ground. Let's carry on. There we go. As me and my old dad used to say, I'm invincible. It's back on the ground again after being up in the air for all that time. You can see there, I did jack it up a little bit too high when I put it up there, and the old fluoro tube went for a burn. It's been like that for probably, I don't know how many months, so I'm gonna have to sort that out, but that's no problem. It's only a new tube. So you can see there now, that's sitting on the trolley underneath. Hang on, let me put the legs up on this tripod so you can see a bit better. You can see under there now, that was a custom made frame that I made on wheels so that I could wheel it round. So now I can get that into position underneath these two block and tackles rather, and we can get it lifted up off the frame this time and get it onto the proper frame. Woo! Okay, as you can see there now, I've got the block and tackle tied up to this, or hooked onto this, that is a 1 ton strap on there, and it's a piece of angle iron with a piece of wood inside it, so it's really strong. Now I know this girder in my garage is strong enough because I actually lifted my DeLorean body off with it, which is even much heavier than this. Obviously it's a fiberglass tub with stainless steel panels and glass and everything, so this is lightweight in comparison. There's the other one there hooked up to that strap. So now it's just a case of I might actually try and get underneath it and winch it up, so I can do both at the same time, because otherwise I'm going to have to keep going from side to side. I think that's how I did it before. I actually laid on the floor underneath it and winched it up. So it does get a bit heavy at the back, if I remember rightly, from when I lifted it up before, so it may tilt a little bit. I may have to get like a prop under there with a jack. I think that's what I did before. So I'm going to get that set up. I'll get you set up on a tripod. Let's get this thing hovering in the air. Rightio, as you would have seen that bit of time lapse there, that is now up in the air and hovering. So now basically all we need to do is wheel this chassis underneath it, try and not get it in the right position, and then do the reverse of what we just done and lower it down. It'll take a few attempts to get this in line. As you know, I'm a little bit tight for space in here, but we are getting there. So hopefully it's a lot easier to get this under than it is the frame, because obviously it's not as high. Now the front I have to come up a little bit. It's not too much of an issue. A bit that way. Luckily this rolls fairly easily. Just pump the tyres up on it, so that should make things a bit easier. A bit of wood in the way. The way this is swinging, might be able to lift this onto it. Right, I'm going to whack that up a bit more on them winches. A little bit wary of the height, because obviously I don't want it to hit the roof. Ah, look at that, perfect. Oh, he says it in the body. Get it over a little bit so it's in the centre. I'm having a rev up out there. Right, I'm going to fiddle around with this, get it all in line, and then we'll get it dropped back down again. Let's crack on. Right, as you can see there now, the van shell is doing a massive wheelie, and I've actually got that so that it is resting on the back of the chassis, which now would allow me to undo the winches and pivot it down on the back of the chassis to allow it to drop down on the front. I'm just going to give this a quick wipe over under here, a few little bits of dirt and stuff I don't want in between the chassis and the body. I'm being a bit of a tart, but you know what I'm like. I have to be the best it can be. So now all we've got to do is drop this down on these winches, hopefully, and it should be on there. Lovely jubbly. Now we'll have to do it either side, which is a bit of a pain, but it's alright. Doesn't take a minute. Keep it fairly level. That's not keeping it level, is it? Oh well. This is quite a momentous occasion, this is. Might not be for you guys, but it's for me. Have a little look underneath and see where we're at lining up wise. I know I've gone wonky there, but I've done that for a reason. Down a bit more here. Oh, I can hear crunchy noises. That's not a good sound. I don't like that sound. Alright, it needs to come over on the front quite a long way. Right. Jiggery pokery. Oh, I see. Bit of manoeuvring. forward. Like that. That's better. I couldn't work out in my head which way round it had to go, but I've just done it. That's good. The rad mounts, there's like an air scoop under there, and the rad mounts have to go behind the air scoop, so obviously you have to just get it right so that it levels up. It's only gone straight on. I can't believe it. It's literally gone straight on in line with the chassis where it should be. Unbelievable. Brilliant. It's down. Woo! That's it. Tension's off. That is on. Superb. Nothing's hitting, as far as I can tell. As far as brake pipes and things, that's good. Right, I'm going to go around this now, make sure that it's all lined up holes wise, and then we can get it all bolted down. Lovely jubbly. Right then, now that is all back on and looking good, I need to take this frame apart, so that is going to be the next job. I'm going to get all this unscrewed and get some garage space back hopefully and have a massive tidy up. Let's carry on. Rightio, there we go. As you can see there, after much tidying, sweeping, dismantling, all the rest of it, the van is now back at the end of the garage it lives in at the moment, but on 3 wheels, not 4. And in the back there you can see all the stuff. Now all that is van related stuff, so hopefully I'll be able to make head and tail of what's going on and get a few bits done. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do as the first job. Well, the first job we're going to do right now is probably going to be to bolt the body down, because obviously that's just resting on there at the moment, and then we can probably look at getting the steering column in, because then we can steer it from inside obviously to manoeuvre it around in the garage, which will be handy. Going on from there, we can put things like pedals in, fuel lines, fuel tank, wiring, all that sort of thing can go in it now, because obviously the body still needs doing on the outside, but we can do all the interior stuff. So we're going to carry on through the jobs on this in no particular order and crack on and get it done finally, hopefully with any luck. That's a good I didn't know what to say then, so I just said all 3 in one go. There we go, let's crack on. Right, this is the start of the body being bolted to the chassis. These are the 2 front mounts, which are brand new, but they were bare metal, so I've actually given them a coat of paint a coat of etch primer and a coat of paint and a coat of satin lacquer to protect them. So that's those done. And in the meantime, I'm waiting for that to dry. I've actually got the front trackward end. I've given that a coat of paint as well. That was black, but you know what the coatings are like on suspension parts, they don't last 5 minutes, so I've just roughed it up with a bit of fine wet and dry and given it a coat of the this stuff. I'll show you. It's the POR 15 detail paint. It's a nice drop of stuff, this. So I've given it a coat of that, just a dust coat to start with. We'll give it probably 1 or 2 more coats, and then that'll be nice and protected, and we can start getting, once the body's down, start getting, or bolted down I should say, getting the steering and put in. Lovely jubbly, let's carry on. Rightio, these 2 brackets I have now painted go on the very front of the chassis under here. And hopefully you'll be able to see this. Up there you can see the shape of where the bracket used to be. Obviously 2 holes which then go through the fiberglass onto that chassis there. So that is literally a case of putting them in, bolting them up, put some washers on the other side, and obviously that should be the front fix down then. So let's see if we can get these in. Shouldn't be too much of a job, and then we can move on to the floor pan on the inside. Let's carry on. Right, now we've got those 2 front mounts under here put in, or sorry, not mounts I should say. Now it's bolted down at the front. We need to clear the inside out because it's been so long that I can't remember actually where all the holes are. So I'm going to get the inside cleared out, and then we can look at what bolt holes we can bolt down. There are some under the seat runners which I don't want to bolt down yet because I've not finalised the seats, because obviously they're not original, they're MX-5 seats. So as soon as I've got everything out, then we can look at exactly what bolt holes we can bolt down just to secure it to the shell, to the chassis, and then obviously then we can move on from there. Let's crack on. Right, there we are. That is 1 van cleared out. Now as you can see, there are marks and holes and all sorts of things all over the floor where I marked it for when I was doing the modified seat runners. Now obviously I don't want to put the modified seat runners in yet because we need to put carpet in and we need to put sound deadening in that I want to add on and all sorts of things like that. But there are some that I can bolt in. There's one up here which has got a bolt just laying in it at the moment. There's one here, same the other side. That one with the arrow on there, and the one at the front with the arrow on. I can get those 4 bolted in, so that would be the front secured. Going towards the back, obviously as I say, all these other holes are for the seat runners, so that will be later on. In the back we've got a mount there and a mount over there. Now those 2 actually go into captive nuts in the chassis, so they can be bolted down. And then we've got the 4 that hold the rear seat back in. They can't go in yet because obviously I've got to put the rear seat hinges in with it, which will go over the top of the carpet, so we'll leave those out for the minute. And then there's 3 at the very back, which is 1 there, 1 there and 1 there. Not sure what I'm going to do with those yet. I probably will put those in. You're probably looking at this shell thinking, hey, it's absolutely mullered and it should have been scrapped. Well yeah, you're probably right, it should have been scrapped. But during the first lockdown I spent months fiberglassing this all up, and it is now as strong as it could ever be. You can see the thickness of the fiberglass there, how much I put in it. It's probably actually thicker now than what it was from factory in places, so it is mega strong. Now that rear floor was actually split in half when I first got the van, and now since I've repaired it, I can actually sit on that back bumper of the van without the chassis under it, and it will support my weight, and I ain't light, so I know it's mega strong. You can see over there, that's a patch that I put in where it had been shot at, so there was a big hole in that side, and you can see where the shot holes have come over to the other side of the van. That's all been fiberglass from the back, obviously needs filling from the front, same as these ones here. And you can see there was some holes in the side panel, which obviously I've fiberglass from the back again and filled from the front, so they are all filled in solid, and the shell is absolutely strong as a rock now, so it is good to go. So yeah, I think we're going to just get the bare minimum bolts in to hold the shell to the chassis, so that I know that they're together, and then obviously we can start cracking them with other things like sound deadening and stuff like that, because obviously I don't want to put the sound deadening over the bolts. Ideally I really want to do it sort of so it goes through, so it's unable to be taken off again, you know. Let's crack on. Rightio, a little bit of an update for you. As you can see there now, I've got that front bolt in and tightened up. I've got two here in and tightened up, and one there in and tightened up, and also got one there in and tightened up. And I think I might have gone a bit overkill with the amount of bolts I'm putting in this, but I'd rather have too many than not enough. Over this side, at the front there, you can see that I've drilled that front hole out because it was a little bit too small. Same with that middle one just there with the arrow, and there's a smaller one going to go in that hole there. Now going towards the back, you can see I've used normal bolts on these two. These are the two that go into the actual chassis itself. The reason for that is the nuts in the chassis that are captive are steel. I didn't want to put stainless steel bolts into steel nuts because they do have a tendency to bind up sometimes, so if I ever wanted to take it apart again, I might have trouble getting it apart. So I've used normal steel bolts for those two, so they are in. Going around the back, I've got one of the smaller M6 bolts going through, little dome headed bolts going through that one. I've got two more laying there to put in, and that will secure the back end down. Now we're not putting those hinge ones in yet, as I said before, because obviously we need to put the hinges in, and I need to sort the floor out first with whatever I'm going to do with it. So yeah, that is about as far as we can do as far as bolting down is concerned. Before we put the seats in, I don't want to put the seats in yet because obviously we've got a lot of other jobs to do, and it's a lot easier getting in and out of the van as far as space is concerned with them not in there, if that makes sense. So I'm going to get these final bolts put in, bolted, tightened down, and then we should be secure. Let's crack on. Rightio, as you would have seen that bit of time lapse there, I did actually change some of the bolts on this side because my OCD couldn't hack it, and there were different sizes either side, so I had to change them. So we've got an M8 at the very front on its own, we've got an M8 in the middle on its own, and then we've got a row of, how many? 4, 5, 6, 7 M6s running down there, and one M6 at the back. Now, I didn't think M6s would be man enough, but because of how many there are, that is absolutely fine. And also, when the metal brackets go on for the seats, which is what this square is drawn on the floor, they're held in with M8s and they go through the chassis as well, so it's going to be more than strong enough, and probably a lot more than what they did originally. Same with this side, you're going to have a runner here with M8s and probably a couple of M6s as well. Same this side, as you can see there, We've got over there 4, 7 again, 7 M6s there, 1 M8 in the middle, 1 M8 at the front, and 1 M6 at the back. I showed you the 2 bolts before, and now we've got 3 M6s at the back as well. So that is nice and strong. And obviously once I put the hinges in there, now those hinges, originally they were riveted. So I'm going to nut and bolt them, so it's going to be a lot stronger with nuts and bolts as well. So there's going to be another 4 fixings going through there. And by looks of the size of the holes on them, they're M8s. So those little M6s at the back won't have too much pressure on them, hopefully. So that is super duper. The body and chassis are now one again, hopefully for the last time. I don't want to be taking this apart again. There we go. Right then, that is going to be it for this episode on MEC-TEC. We have made some good progress finally on the old van. It's about time this project got going again because it's been sitting in the garage far too long. We've got everything obviously bolted down as you saw. As I said previously, I wasn't that sure about using the M6 bolts, but there are that many of them that it obviously spreads the load over quite a wide area, and I don't think I'll have any problem with that, especially once the seats are bolted in. That'll be absolutely fine because they're M8s, so they're a bit bigger. I have got another video coming up on the van. I've been doing a little bit more work on it. You would have seen in one of the bits of time lapse I've censored the area I've been working on so it doesn't spoil it for the next video. So that will be coming up soon. Hopefully we will have a little bit more Reliant content coming up. It has been lacking over the last few months. I can only apologise for that. Obviously when I got the Westfield I said, oh yeah, the Westfield's going to stay in the back of the garage and I'll do that after this, that and the other, and then I got excited about it and started doing the Westfield. So there you go. So this one got left behind again. So now the Westfield's pretty much done. We can crack on with this. If you do like what you see, maybe have a look on Instagram. I've got MEC_TEC1985, and I have got Facebook MEC-TEC for little sneak peeks during the week of what I'm up to. If you also do like what you see, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button down there and make sure you ring the little notification bell. That will tell you every time I upload a video. And all it is left for me to say is, if you want to join me soon for more automotive adventures, I'll see you again next time. Cheers guys.